This is the Friday devotional thought for the day from Tryon, North Carolina, Higher Ground. Beautiful day. They're complaining up here because it's 85, 86 degrees, um, and looking forward to the next cool front to come through, which is supposed to happen on Sunday. For those of us that are from Florida, 86 degrees is not that bad. So I guess everything's relative to what you're used to. We're looking at the book of Jude, and we saw that it was written by a brother of Jesus. Uh, Actually, James was his brother, and we are looking at the fact that it's a very short book and that it was written with 4 parts. The purpose of the book, the description of the false prophets that were coming in, and the defense against these false prophets, and then the doxology. The purpose, we just looked at the very first part of that, and that was the prayer that he had, if you will, for mercy and peace and love for all of the brethren. And he said he set out to write some things that were common about salvation, but really decided it was more important to talk about these false prophets coming. And Peter had talked about the fact that there would be false prophets coming. And so it's very, very important for us to think about, just for a moment or two, what is happening in our society today. Well, first of all, as a pastor over the 27 years that I was at Southside Baptist Church and the 35 years I was in ministry, I saw a change, a gradual shift to less and less embarrassment over immoral behavior, over drinking, over smoking. More and more people, even though perhaps there weren't any more doing it, they weren't ashamed of it anymore. Where they would be embarrassed to come into a pastor's office with a pack of cigarettes in their pocket, or to admit that they were living together with someone before marriage, or to admit that they were drinkers. I found that they were less and less embarrassed by those factors. In some cases, actually had gotten to a brazen point where they would announce it rather than it being dug out. Now, I'm not trying to be judgmental, and I'm not trying to be critical and saying you can't be saved and do these things. But you see, Jude was really writing about that. He was writing about using the grace of God as a license for immorality. And immorality is immorality. It's the same as it was when the words were written in the scriptures. If it's immoral, it's immoral. If it's incorrect, it's incorrect. But the problem with getting desensitized to these things is the fact that then they become almost acceptable. And when Jude is writing, he's writing to the church, and he's writing to brethren and Christ, and he's saying, we got to fight for the faith. Excuse me, we can't allow this teaching to creep into the church. We can't allow this thinking to creep into the church. And so as he writes this letter, he says we really need to be ready to fight for the faith, to stay to the same standards and to the same values that Christ taught. I wonder today, as you think about the things you watch on television, I wonder about the things that you are more accepting of today than you were 10 years ago. Whether or not this message from Jude isn't just as applicable to all of us to say we need to fight for the faith, not be legalistic and throw people out of the church, but to call them to repentance and to not make them comfortable in immorality or living that is not godly. It's a difficult subject. Everybody wants to be popular. Nobody wants to hurt anybody's feelings. And yet I myself find that when it's in the family, you have a son, a daughter, a grandson, a granddaughter, who are involved in some of these things, and they take it so lightly and so loosely. You don't want to break that relationship, but you also don't want to put a stamp of approval on it. And yet, I think that's exactly what Jude was talking about. He was talking about fighting for the faith, calling sin, sin, calling people to repentance. If you want to live together, get married. If you drink, understand the great dangers of that drinking, and be sure that you understand the witness that it gives to others who may not be able to drink successfully. If you smoke, the witness it gives to others. The legalization of marijuana has opened the door. It's basically given those that might never otherwise try it because it's an illegal drug and they don't want to break the law now to try it. I think we all have to take a hard look. How easy are we making it for those around us to get into areas of sin, even though we know it's wrong, and even though God's grace will cover it, that we're making it a license for sin? That's your thought for the day. Not a very pleasant one today. Hope that you'll think about that. Hope that you'll be a little bit more outspoken, not judgmental, not condemning, but just calling to repentance and bringing back God's standards, fighting for the faith. God bless you and have a great day.